What's going on, y'all? How we doing? Welcome to Analytically Correct. That was a good, smooth fucking start. With you today is your boy Brettigans, your boy Marty, and this is going to be my last scheduled one, I guess consistent schedule, like every week going forward. I guess weekly would be the right word there. Really starting off on fire today. So my replacement here is, some of you guys might know him, especially in Traveling Drunks. I've been bartending in this area for a while now. Good buddy Rob right here. He's a cool guy. He's got great taste in NFL teams, shitty taste in MLB teams.
Go Yankees.
Cowboys fan, a Yankees fan.
27 wins.
So let's go ahead and no, that pipe down. And obviously with this, as always, is your boy Stretch, coming to you guys live from Public House and Shamrock Liquors on corner of University and Althea. So I don't think it could get any rockier of a start than what I just did. So it's going to look up for you going forward. But anyways, as always, I'm going to get on the horn here, get everything locked and loaded. I'll let Marty and Rob take it for you guys for the first little bit here.
Yeah, sounds like Brett's pretty much drunk already.
I don't know what the fuck I was doing there.
Kind of mailing it in for this last one here. You see why we needed a replacement here?
It's never been more evident than the last 30 seconds. Awful.
The super local podcast game has passed him by, so he's moving on to smaller,
bigger and better things.
Smaller and worse things.
Take me out to the pasture and fucking shoot me.
Yeah, there we go. Well, after the show, maybe.
After the show. Yeah.
I wanted to start this week with
it.
the NBA playoffs. We've kind of been starting off there a lot recently because it's the biggest thing going on. The finals are set, Warriors and Raptors. The Warriors are a heavy favorite. The last time I checked, it started at like minus 300, depending on what site and what book you go to. I think now it's down to like minus 225, so the Raptors are probably getting some action there, probably just on the value alone, because what Brett was saying before the show is he thinks he just wants us to pick how many games it's going to go, because he thinks everyone's kind of going with the Warriors. I guess we can go around and start off by introducing Rob here. You can't have any worse of a start than Brett, so his first words on the show to redeem himself from Go Yankees. Do you have any opinions? What is your pick for this series? Like, how do you see it shaking out? Games, picks, all that kind of stuff.
If I was to truly have a pick with this series, and like if Kevin Durant plays all four, which he won't, he's going to miss at least one. I'd say Warriors in 3 if it was possible, just because it's just if it was possible, Warriors in 3. Like,
I love it.
The Warriors are just
fucking
up and down, just better, like they are. And I was saying to you last series we talked about with we were talking about how great Damian Lillard, because he made it past the first round finally. You know, it looks great, I guess. And then they played them, and you just saw the disparity. Like, they knew for 3 quarters they can pace themselves. In the 4th quarter, they'll turn on. They just look like the same team they have for the past years, with or without Kevin Durant.
That's another thing, too. That's a huge point.
Kevin Durant's the best player in the league, I think, personally. I think Kawhi Leonard's right there with him, because the whole two-way play, he can average 25, 27 a game. But I think this could possibly look like what the Spurs and Warriors series was supposed to be before Kawhi got hurt.
Oh, right.
This is what this series could be right here if Kevin's not playing.
Okay.
Some people don't think Kevin's going to play at all anymore, just because.
He might not.
And at this point, I think as a basketball, he's a basketball fan before he's a player as well. I think he's going to play, because he has the burner accounts. He listens to what everyone says. I mean, he's a sensitive guy.
What do you think happens if they're up 3-0 and he comes in the 4th and just cleans up? I think he's just going to get shit on.
I just think,
to your point, I think it would be smart of him not to play, because he's going to be he's probably going to be shopping teams.
Oh, thank you, man.
As I mentioned before, we're here at Shamrock Liquors and Public House, best 2 places in New Orlando to get some booze. And the owner Neil has generously provided some liquid courage for all of us. Come on, man, aren't you a server? Pass that shit out, dude. God damn it. Sorry about him, dude. It's fucking worse. But anyways, well, hey.
Add this onto my calorie tracker. Put it under my snacks.
We have like. I don't want to be near the computers.
You're good.
Yeah, it's my girlfriend's.
I took pre-workout. Stuff might spill out.
A pre-workout for the podcast. I like it.
Man,
Got to have the veins pop for the camera, you know.
So to kind of go off of what he was saying with KD is kind of in a no-win situation, whether he comes back and they lose or if he comes back and they win. I think they're on a 7-game winning streak without him. So, I mean, in my opinion, he's in a no-win situation. People are going to already think what they think about him. They didn't need him before he got there. Draymond Green has said this himself publicly. They didn't need him before he got there or after he got there. They're kind of doing it without him. But that'll kind of what you were saying the last time we were going to get the series with the Spurs and the Warriors will kind of lead into my pick. I'm picking the Raptors. The last time we saw
hot take
The last time we saw Kawhi Leonard against the Warriors in the playoffs, the Spurs were up 25 points or somewhere around there. And then he got hurt. I think he fell down on Zaza Pachulia. And then obviously the rest is history. The Warriors came back and they wound up winning. But he said Kevin Durant might be the best player in the world. You said Kawhi is close. To me, if you're gonna have one of the best players in the world not play, eventually it's gonna catch up to you, even if it's the Warriors. We just saw Kawhi Leonard stop 4 games in a row after they went down 0-2. One of the best offensive players in the league, who nobody can stop, in Giannis. So I'm gonna take the
Raptors.
The Raptors. Thank you. I forgot my pick.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the Raptors. I'm gonna go Raptors in 7. It's looking back at the standings. It's funny how everyone talks about the regular season in basketball is kind of meaningless. And for the most part, most of the games you can consider them as meaningless. But if you look at the records now, the Raptors have home court in the NBA Finals because of a 1-game lead in the regular season. They had a better record by 1 game.
I didn't realize that. So they have a home court advantage during the finals?
Yeah, they have game 1 at home.
Wow.
It's a pick 'em. They have.
I did not realize that. That's fucking nuts.
Do you want to change your pick or?
No. Well, I was actually. Well, I'll let you finish your point.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get the spicy takes rolling here in a second.
I mean, I'm gonna go 7, and I'm gonna take the Raptors, and I'm gonna say they'll win at home in Game 7, which would actually be really interesting if that happened, because Kevin Durant should definitely be back by then. It seems like the injury is much more serious than what they're saying with a strained calf. People thought initially on Twitter, I was looking at it, which is never a good place to go to look for anything intelligent. But they were saying, everyone says it looks like he ruptured his Achilles. They're saying then a calf strain.
Well, everyone's doctor's on there.
Yeah, of course. And there's actually no real doctors that are on there. I don't know. I've never gone to the doctor, and he's like, follow me on Twitter. So.
Tweet me, I got you.
Yeah. Free checkups if you retweet this. But yeah. So I mean, if it does go 7, and then you have the Raptors with home court, like I said, by 1 game. The Bucks also would have had home court. Obviously, they had a better record than the Raptors, but it was also by only 1 game. So I'm gonna take the Raptors in 7, and I think Kawhi is gonna be on Steph, guarding Steph, and then it's gonna make a difference. If the best defender in the league, one of the best players in the league, is guarding Steph. I mean, you saw what happened to Steph in the finals against the Cavs when he had Kevin Love on him, who's like a big, long... No, it's funny to laugh at Kevin Love, but a big, long defender who was disrupting him at the top.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I see the series going. I mean, the bench is going to have to step up, obviously, but the Warriors also, not to ramble on, the Warriors also don't have a great bench. It's pretty much going to be...
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty much going to be...
They don't need it, but you're right.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
I mean, Ludy's looked great all postseason, realistically. I mean,
but we're talking one player.
As a
the
bench
Raptors
player.
bench has been pretty good too. I mean, Van Vliet has struggled in the conference finals.
But the big thing with the Raptors, I will always say, and the way they play Milwaukee is Giannis is the best player within 15 feet. Any pass, if he's shooting from 3, it's like me in Spanish 3 class. It's 20% tops. Like he's just.
Go ahead.
If we do want to go back to that series, like he said, because I do want to not just gloss over that in the last week we finished off the series that led to this. The first 2 games, obviously, Giannis was amazing, and then it seemed like I kind of am down on coaching, just in general, as far as like the players are the ones that win the games. But the way that Nick Nurse had everybody packing the paint, you see Giannis, they're helping off of Eric Bledsoe, they're all packing the paint, and then like you said, within 15 feet, if you have 3 guys in front of you, you can't just dunk over everybody every time. I mean, even the guy who could do that couldn't do that. So if you're kicking out to shooters and they're not making shots, that's how you wind up losing a series 4-2 after going up 2-0.
The Warriors also stopped James Harden for the most part as well. And James Harden is more dominant all around offensively because he can go from anywhere. I mean, it's just offensively, he can really shoot from anywhere. And Giannis will probably win the MVP for having the best record.
I agree.
I think it's going to be another best record MVP typically. Yeah. But like all
it's
around,
stupid, but you're right.
Yeah, offensively, they did stop James Harden without Kevin Durant the last couple of games too.
Really quick, so I want to get this for the past 10 minutes. So you guys were both talking about how it's Kawhi and who else you say KD or top 1 and 2. I don't think either one of those guys is the best player in the league. How is it? I know I'm going to be in the minority here. How the fuck is it still not LeBron?
Oh man.
Well, he joined the Lakers team.
No. Right now, if we're going to play the Olympics and USA has the number 1 pick.
Because LeBron's defense isn't anywhere near Kawhi's, though.
Right.
Like, it's not even
But as an overall player, LeBron is better than Kawhi.
I think Paul George is a better player than him this year.
Both of these guys are in their primes, though. I mean, the people who it is the media who votes on it, but the people who vote on All NBA voted LeBron third team, and that to me was kind of like that was kind of out of respect. He almost could have not even made third team.
I'll agree with you there, but so one bad year and however many has been 13.
Well, we're just talking right now. If it's in his prime, you might take LeBron, but you're gonna.
Might you? I don't know. Just personally, right now, even though he had a shitty year with a shittier team than he's had in previous year, like if you put LeBron on the Raptors, they're doing the same thing. You put LeBron on the Bucks, they're doing the same thing. I mean, am I wrong? If you put Giannis on the Lakers, they're not doing that. If you put Kawhi on the Lakers, they're okay, but they're not. You know what I mean?
You just put Kawhi on the Raptors, and they went from losing in the first round or maybe the second round to being in the finals. I mean,
right? But okay, but if you put LeBron on, I'm just saying if you take out switch all those players out, especially these other two teams who are pretty good, 1-2 in the East. I think if you put LeBron, in my opinion, that dude, he's just such an awesome rebounder. He's not a very good shooter. Another thing that got me on it is because you were talking about no one's better in 15 feet in than Giannis. Yeah. And Giannis is my boy. I've been chirping on that guy for the past 5 years. And look it up. I fucking love a guy. I didn't think he was going to be MVP one year, but I knew he was going to be really good. I would just like to argue that I think LeBron's probably the best from 15 feet in.
So Brian Bond said
all the way still.
LeBron not even close. And that's kind of my issue with sports arguments is what we're saying is like all these guys are close.
Right.
You can't say it's anybody and it's not even close. If it wasn't even close, the Lakers would have made the playoffs. But if he was that much better than all these other guys, he would have made the playoffs. I know he only played 50 games, but
I was going to say so that's
50 games
32 games he missed.
Right, but
he's still being all NBA team. Missing 30 games was a big question to me too. And there's no knock on him.
No, of
he
course,
missed 30
of course.
games.
If we're strictly talking third NBA, I think you two were totally right. You hit the nail on the head there.
The media votes on it.
32 games.
Yeah.
Like how are they supposed to make? Okay, let's say that they won half those games. They're in the playoffs. They go 15. If they go 16-16 on those games they play, which they wouldn't, they would go probably more. If they went 16-16, they make the playoffs.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, my biggest thing with LeBron when it came down to him going to LA is, there was always that LeBron needs to have a team catered to him. He can't take a young group and make them, because if the young group doesn't want to do what he wants to do and doesn't want to play the way he wants to play, because he plays isolation, strictly isolation basketball.
But he's got better court vision than Kawhi and Giannis.
Oh, no,
he's a better passer.
He does, yes, and there's no knock on that. But in all reality, I thought the move they should have done is trade Lonzo for Trevor Ariza, because that would have been their Andre Iguodala-like player, who's a nice defender, can play the three-point shot, and also that you just make LeBron a point guard at this point in his career. There's no point in making him a small forward to go guard the best player, because then it's like when he was in Cleveland in the finals, he was trying to guard all over these players. Well, what happens when George Hill has to go now play the small forward position, basically?
Well, if you put him at the point guard, like LeBron is going to have as much as I'm bragging on him, he's going to have a tough time guarding Steph.
Well, no, he's a point guard on offense and on defense.
So strictly offense.
It's just being able to run the team off length, because we look at Milwaukee, what makes Milwaukee special is length. Up and down is length, but if you would have had a LeBron James in LA and a Trevor Ariza as well, the shortest guy is LeBron James. At 6'8", 6'7".
In crunch time, technically Giannis is the point guard for Milwaukee.
You
have Eric Bledsoe, but in crunch time, you have almost Kawhi as the point guard as well. Like your best player is almost running point during crunch time, not over the whole entire game.
I think LeBron is still top 5 right now, without a doubt.
Got your back at least.
I'm just not going to sit here and say. I will personally say you missed 30 games. That's going to hurt you for this year, because we're talking about this year. We're not talking about within the span of he's been playing ball.
Right. Because obviously, if it's careers, then it's not. Then it actually isn't close.
His career, he's a top 5 player of all time, and that's being nice. Not even put him in the top. That's just being nice.
Right.
Brian had another good point that the Lakers are hastening his demise. They didn't do him any favors by. If you look back in the whole news that was in the news. That's a clunky phrase, but with Magic and Pelinka, all the moves they made, they traded Zubats, who wound up being a really good player for the Clippers.
Yes.
It was a year or two ago, but when now you see that. What's his name is an all-star for the Nets.
D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah,
which
D'Angelo
I'm so
Russell.
happy about that trade.
And then if you watch the first take thing when Magic was on there, he said that they traded him because he had that incident with he called him Shaggy P, and he said they traded him because of that. So you're trading an all-star away, an all-star now, but you're trading him away. Because of something that happened with a guy who's also not in your team, and I don't even know if he's in the league anymore.
I'm a Nets fan, and what I will say about Russell, I have a Kemba Walker take on him. He's a good player on a really bad team. All in all, I'm not saying Kemba is a bad player. Kemba's a good player, but let's be honest. If you put him on a group of guys. He's not averaging 28 points close to that. I mean, he's
needs
not
the
that kind of
He's
player.
a fascinating player. I don't drink the Kool-Aid.
But he has like one double-double as a
touches.
point guard. In the era where there's no defense, in the era where there's spacings like at 6 feet now, it's like I just don't look at Kemba Walker like I don't look at D'Angelo Russell as a max salary player. I hope we go after a Kyrie and a Jimmy Butler over him.
That's a tough one too, Kyrie.
With the All NBA voting, the way we were talking about earlier, one of the guys that lost was Klay Thompson, losing out like 30-something million. So I think they're going to stop having the media vote on these things or having them not put them in the contracts anymore. But speaking of like the Supermax contracts, Kemba is going to be like an interesting study case with this is like the line of a guy. Do you give it to him?
Yeah.
And then if you don't give it to him, how can you look at your fans in Charlotte, which is like the only thing you've had in a while besides Al Horford, which, I mean, so how do you, if you let him walk, which I think is smart to not hamstring yourself by giving up one of your Supermax slots on a guy like Kemba Walker, who I loved ever since he was at UConn, but it's almost like that's the fringe player of do you give it to this guy or do you not?
He's never going to be able to carry a team, and that's not talking shit. It's just it's what's happened. We're stating facts right now.
It's just
If he were to, you know what's interesting, and I like I said, I'm just going to say I'm not a Kemba Walker guy, but I think a great place for him would be a playoff team that can't score and needs a scorer. The Orlando Magic. We don't have a scorer. You know what I mean? Like
but then you're going to stunt the growth of
I'm
what
not
you
saying
brought
I want him.
Fultz,
I'm just
though.
saying if fucking Fultz. I'm just
mean,
saying
you
that
did
would be an
trade for
intriguing play. Right. That would be an intriguing place, I think, for him. And I don't want him here.
I like him
I think
in
it would
Phoenix.
be interesting. They don't need to score more points. Though,
Well,
do
they need a point guard in general. Like Phoenix needs a
Suns?
point guard. Yeah, they
It's
need a point
Devin
guard.
Booker, pretty much. I
Yeah,
mean,
but he's a-
so you're saying
technically
he's a
transition
two
him,
guy.
but he's never gonna give up the ball like the way that he's been.
I think he's like more of a Harden type of guy.
Yeah,
because Harden's not a point guard.
That's why if you talk about the NBA draft coming up, a lot of people, RJ Barrett's going to go in the top 5, but there's a lot of teams who might not want him because he needs the ball in his hands. So you're saying, oh, maybe if Phoenix takes him. I mean, Devin Booker is essentially, we were talking about point guards and are they really listed as point guards? Devin Booker is pretty much their point guard.
But he's not a point guard.
You think he'd be better as a shooting
Right.
guard?
He's a 2 by all
like
means.
Like a Klay Thompson type?
If you told him your goal is to just score 30 points a night and not worry about distributing your offense, you make it easier for him. A lot easier for him. With DeAndre Ayton, with Jackson, you have a good little
He
group
had a
there.
solid year.
do.
He really did. Quietly. I mean, I guess we're on the East Coast, so maybe there's a little more noise out west. And to touch on this is something we've talked about in, I was going to say years past, but it hasn't been that long, but on shows past,
Feels like
which I think is fascinating. I've actually had a hard time wrapping my head around this, is the demise of positions in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no true power forwards or centers really anymore.
They're
There's no
all
true
stretch forwards, basically,
Yeah,
now.
exactly. There's no small oh man, that guy's a great small forward. Well, is he really? Like, when I think small forward, I think like Tayshaun Prince. You know what I mean? But those days are long gone. Like, what the fuck is a point guard now? Because we can argue about that all day long. Like, well, I want a pass first point guard. Okay, so you don't want Kyrie. Well, Kyrie's a point guard. He's not a shooting guard, even though he's a better shooter.
Colin Cowherd called him a 2 guy with great handles, and I'm like, that's as good as you can get on that because that is him.
I love Colin Cowherd too. Yeah,
I hate Colin Cowherd. You like Colin Cowherd?
I like.
Colin.
Well, okay.
I hate him so much.
The last year he's gone to what I did, I guess the opposite of what I liked him. But I liked him because he left ESPN and all this shit because they're trying to make him this TV personality and get people riled up. What he says, he fucking thinks. He's not Skip Bayless who just says, and I actually don't mind. Skip Bayless gets a lot of shit. I actually like Skip Bayless as a majority, but he says stuff, and you can tell when he's smiling. Skip Bayless says stuff just to get a rise out of Shannon or just to get a rise out of Twitter or whatever. Like, he doesn't say everything he likes. Collins, what he said, he's not getting this. He's not saying shit to get ratings, I guess, is what I'm getting. And I think you agree as well.
That's like a step above, is like believing
He's not
in what
Max
you're
Kellerman.
actually saying.
Right. Right.
Believing in what you're actually saying is one thing, but still saying a bunch of stupid stuff is still something that makes me.
Well, that's just sports opinions in general.
He is on the. I mean, when people kill him for what he says about Russell Westbrook, and all in all, Russell Westbrook is just he's a great regular season guy, but like postseason, he's horrendous. He can't shoot. He still thinks he can shoot. Like, he'll chuck him from anywhere, hoping like. He was trying to rock the baby at Damian Lillard, this and that, doing his whole little antics. But it's like, you haven't really done anything since Kevin Durant has left. Now you have Paul George, who's arguably in the MVP conversation, and you still didn't do anything.
I wouldn't say that they didn't do.
Around Paul George.
I wouldn't say that they didn't do anything. I mean, they still are like a top 3 seed in the better conference every year. Like,
they haven't made it to the second round in a little bit, though. I mean,
but neither had really Portland. I mean, you can't just.
Hey, you heard my look on Portland when we talked about it. I mean. People were saying that they're the second point guard, shooting guard compared to obviously Golden State, and I thought if they're 1A, then they're 1X. They're far
really?
away from one. Yeah, God,
so
yeah.
compared to
Chris
Steph
Paul and
Clay,
James
though.
Harden are a better combination than McCollum is not that great. He
I'm
had
with
a
you.
very good
I'm with you.
postseason
I'm not. I just
against Denver.
You know.
I'm a big McCollum fan. I would say that he is really good. I mean, he'd be the best player on a lot of teams. It's just because he's playing with Damian Lillard that he's not the best player on that
And
team.
Lillard got all the love in the world because he made it out the first round with a big buzzer beater, and I get that, and a great job. But you got swept by a 6 seed the year before.
Yeah, with Anthony Davis on the team though, who is one of those guys who can take and DeMarcus Cousins, and that's one of the guys who can take a
Cousins
team.
was hurt.
Yeah, hurt. Yeah,
He wasn't in the playoffs. Okay.
But Drew and Rondo were. I mean, their playoff Rondo is a
Fucking
thing.
Rondo, what a
Playoff Rondo is
fucking
a
It
thing.
is. It's a real
Yeah,
thing.
it
I mean,
is.
even
Fucking
Kawhi
asshole.
had a quote sometime during the regular season because he made it on All-NBA defensive team, which we keep on going back to the All-NBA teams. I still put stock into it. Like a lot of those guys care about the voting and stuff, but
Yeah.
Kawhi made it on, and even if you asked him in his own like off camera or anything, I think he would say that he didn't have a good enough regular season defensively that would put him on first team All-NBA. But he said that these regular season games are practice games, and when it comes to the playoffs, that's when you lace them up, and he showed it so far. He's had like Michael Jordan-like playoff numbers
Yeah.
this postseason.
OKC hasn't been higher than a 4th seed since Durant left. I mean, now granted, the West is obviously a lot, better than the East. That's actually where I thought you were going to go with LeBron thing, because that's one of my points about him. That to totally kind of switch gears here is that I always thought that he went out West because one of the if he had a biggest knock other than free throw shooting is he couldn't do it out West. If he was out West, the Cavs would be a 4, like a 5 seed. In my opinion, I think that's ultimately why he went out West, and he may never admit that, and I may be totally wrong. He may absolutely not think that, but I think that's why. Not to get back on LeBron, but I thought that's why he went out West is because West is so much tougher. Anyways, to get back onto that is, okay, so OKC hasn't been higher than a 4 seed. It's like, well. Do you think they're going to be a lot better? Like, in 10 years, when we're listening to fucking dumbass frat boys talk about sports in a bar, and we're going to put our 2 cents in because we've had too much Jameson. In 10 years, how are we going to talk about Russell Westbrook when they
Oh man.
Are we going to back him up when they're like, oh yeah, he was? Are we going to be like, yeah, dude, like, oh man,
He's my favorite player in the NBA.
People don't look at his stats and all. So you can look at the stats, but
It's
the column
stat
that you don't look
That's
is
all
the
it
W
now.
column because.
Yeah. He's also inefficient by all means.
He's like the Iverson of this
I don't want him on the
generation.
Magic.
I wouldn't even say that because Iverson's defense was still top tier.
And
at his
Iverson
position.
got
Westbrook's defense
Iverson
is
got to
not
the
bad.
finals.
Westbrook's
does-
defense is good.
But Westbrook, his steals aren't like man-made steals. He's also playing out like he's.
Iverson was
without
a
Paul-
force defensively.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Force.
and also
Guard Jordan.
Iverson can shoot too.
Well, he put up 35 shots a game and scored 30 points a game.
And
Yeah, he's
But-
the Westbrook of this generation, in my opinion. I mean, and I loved Iverson. I mean,
That's
he's
a good
Iverson.
one. Who's a better shooter, Iverson or Westbrook? I think it's close,
I think
to be
it's
But we're
honest.
I think
also
it's
in
who's the
volume
worst
shooting. If guys are volume shooting back then,
Right.
like we are now, like Kobe Bryant got killed for taking 25 shots in a game. This man James Harden can take 24 on average, and no one cares.
By the way, who
also gets to learn way more than Kobe did, though.
Who do you think's better, Dwayne Wade or Kobe Bryant?
Oh, it's not even a conversation. Are you kidding me? Stop it. That's not a conversation. That's
I'm
not.
so glad we got this guy here. That's
that's
fucking
That's not a
awesome.
conversation.
This guy last week said
No,
Dwayne Wade
that's-
was comparable to Kobe Bryant. I'm like, in
One year he may have been.
It was
One year.
It was a couple. It was a
1 year.
It was a couple of weeks ago when Dwayne Wade was
I'm
retiring.
so glad you're here, Rob.
I was getting emotional about Dwayne Wade retiring, and I didn't say he was better. I said it's not crazy to say that they're comparable.
Yes, it is.
Here's what I'll say. If LeBron and Kobe are on the same team, they don't go 2 out of 4. They go 4 out of 4.
And then Kobe would make him leave like he did with Shaq.
Oh, and you know what? Oh, look,
And Kobe
make
still
him
won
leave.
without him.
No, you're right. Because he's like, why is Tristan getting a max contract? LeBron, he doesn't deserve a max contract. LeBron, why are you pissing off Kyrie? LeBron, why are you trading Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love? You're horrible with big men. You're historically horrible with big men.
But how is the? But you
Did
said
Shaq win one after leaving?
with Miami,
LA?
right?
Yeah, Miami.
Oh,
yeah.
fuck. I always forgot
So-
That was the year that
You
Dwayne
say-
Wade was comparable, the 1 year.
Not to get into like small details, but you're saying the Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love trade, it turned out to be a good trade. Andrew Wiggins is not good.
Andrew Wiggins
Andrew
would have
Wiggins is
worked
good.
better in isolation basketball than Kevin Love. Kevin Love had to drop weight, and all of a sudden he dropped physicalness. He was a 20-20
Kevin
guy for a
Love-
while.
That
I mean,
guy was
not
a
20-20 on
fucking
average,
force
but he
in
had the most
Minnesota.
20-20s
And then he went-
in
yes.
Minnesota.
The year
Yes.
that like most people
was
would
awesome.
when they're on teams where they put up stats, and then you go to a different team and you don't put up
Right.
the same stats, like Chris Bosh was coming from Toronto.
I'll
to
buy
Chris
Miami.
Bosh,
that. I'll buy
again,
that
though,
argument.
Chris Bosh was made the scapegoat just like Kevin Love was when they were
buy
not
that.
performing. But without Chris Bosh's 2 offensive rebounds, Ray Allen never gets a shot.
Right, and without Kevin Love guarding Steph at the top of the key, maybe they don't win that
And if
championship.
Kawhi can hit some free throws, they go 1 out of 3 against.
You could do what ifs all day. I mean, if Kawhi didn't get hurt in the Spurs series, maybe the Warriors don't win that year
all
either.
I'm saying is Dwayne Wade's knee lasted whatsoever, then yeah, maybe he is. But Dwayne Wade failed at championship chasing. Let's be honest. He championship chased in Cleveland and left.
No, I mean, he wanted to play with LeBron. I don't know if they ever thought they're going to win a championship together at that point.
Well, clearly not. They got Isaiah Thomas out of Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
The guy's my height, dude. If you're my height, you should not play professional sports.
Kobe Bryant was a better defender, and I never feared Dwayne Wade pulling up from anywhere on the court.
No.
Ever. Now, you could argue Dwayne Wade's probably a better rebounder because he's a little more physical, but I mean, other than that, I mean, I love getting back on that.
Well, also, I mean,
this thing has pissed me off.
When Shaquille O'Neal's on your team for the majority of your early career, you don't have to worry about rebounding.
Yeah, just fucking
you just
get
don't.
Shit, just
Like,
take off. Which I guess a lot of people would, you could say as a knock or whatever, but sorry, I just I have like a couple shows to throw this guy back under the bus. So I had to take it.
I was in arguments with people about Dwayne Wade and Kobe for I don't know how long. I have a respect towards Dwayne Wade, but it's like
no, of course. This is
goes
no
Michael.
awesome.
Michael's obviously number 1. Then it's Kobe. Then of course Dwayne Wade's. Oh no, and shooting guards.
Okay.
Shooting guards.
Okay. I was like,
but then when we start talking about Michael and Kobe, will always have this. There's always going to be that debate with Kobe and Michael fans. Dwayne Wade fans just need to
pump the brakes. Enjoy what you got.
Enjoy
what you got.
You're just
a great career. I'm going to say the word great. Great career.
Dwayne Wade.
And
he got a ring
as a
out
Nets
of it.
fan, Kobe did say he would go play in Italy before he went to play with the Nets in Jersey when he was about to get drafted. So this is me being very honest.
He speaks fluent
I
Italian.
watched him whoop us up in the finals, like when LA and them swept us. So like,
is that a Todd McCulloch was your starting center? And Todd McCulloch and Kenyon Martin.
Kmart, man. Kmart for the Tats.
I wanted his athletic ability when I was growing up. Like just thunderous fucking dunks.
Oh man.
And that beeline fucking his shot it goes from like here. His shot never has 0 arch.
I love the lip tattoos on the neck. It's just like for no reason. You just have it there.
No, it was a hip hop artist. It was like Lil Kim or somebody. It was their actual lips.
I'll remember it in a second.
That's great, man. That's another reason to love Kmart, man.
Fucking
Missy Elliott.
No,
Missy Elliott.
It was somebody's actual lips.
Pull that ass too fat. Trina.
It was.
That makes
Trina.
sense.
So it's even better.
He was with Trina, though.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Awesome. All right, there you go. We got to talk about fucking
such better times.
late 90s.
It was Nicki Minaj before the Nicki Minaj.
Such better times than Tristan Thompson with Khloe Kardashian. What are we've fallen a long way.
Almighty.
I remember when.
So we never got your actual pick. I mean, I guess you're taking the Warriors.
Oh, I'm gonna say Warriors and no more than 5.
Yeah. I never made my official because they can't win in 3, but I'd take Warriors in 5. I'd take Warriors in 5.
But you said in 3, so shouldn't it be in 4?
I mean, I believe a sweep should happen. I consider, like, with Steph, with Clay, and the way they've been playing, and the way they've turned, especially Steph. Because Steph was horrendous in those first 3 games against.
You have no concern at all with Steph having, like, bad.
No, because it's Kyle Lowry. It's Kyle Lowry.
He's not going to be going against Kyle Lowry. He's going to be going against Kawhi Leonard.
Kyle Lowry still has to come up and make a difference. Kawhi Leonard can drop 40
But
points.
Lowry's been decent in the playoffs so far. I mean, he's had some.
For the first time ever.
That's my big
been
thing.
non-existent.
You can't just knock a guy for his whole careir for not showing up, and then when he shows up, you say, well, for the first time. He's done it for the first time since forever.
We did it to A-Rod for years.
Yeah, A-Rod's an asshole.
I don't like when players get injured, even if it's for a team that I fucking hate, because that's still a human at the end of the day. But Kyle Lowry needs to get kicked in the dick.
Every time Steph Curry doesn't play well, people say he's hurt. And then every time he plays well, it's like, oh, he's not hurt anymore.
I mean, that's a bullshit because almost every NBA player, almost every professional player is going through something.
Everyone's
like, there's a reason why they have those big ass pads underneath their chin.
Kawhi just beat Giannis, so you can't just excuse one guy and not give credit to another guy.
I'm not giving any credit to Kyle Lowry, man. Kyle Lowry's literally scored no points in a game before in the playoffs.
Multiple
times.
Starting shooting
and he touches the ball a lot.
All the time he's 0 for 11, over 14.
He's coming off the bench for 15 minutes.
Okay, either way, he's a starter and he's touching the ball.
He plays 35 minutes.
Guy's garbage.
But okay, I mean, garbage is like relative. Garbage to Steph, yeah, but it's not going to be decided Steph versus Kyle Lowry. It's going to be Kawhi guarding Steph, and then it's going to be like Kyle Lowry against, Draymond's points. Those points will offset.
Draymond was damn good in that series, and
Draymond was amazing defensively and offensively. The stuff he does doesn't show up on box score.
It doesn't, because everyone is in the box score era. That's why people love Russell Westbrook, because it's the box score. Oh, look, what did he do in the box score? Cool, but like when it comes to efficiency, what does he really do for that? Like Draymond Green all around, and everyone hates when people say this, but when it comes from every aspect of the game, not just scoring, not just defense, not just passing, but every single aspect, he's the best overall player on that team.
No, I don't think anyone's gonna.
Steph's defense doesn't match up.
I would put KD.
Clay can't pass. KD doesn't play defense like that,
He's
though.
been in Defensive Player of the Year in the last couple of years.
So
Like,
is
he's been in
Draymond.
the-
Draymond's been there for
But all around, KD's offense is way better than Draymond's defense is. If you compare KD's offense to
I'm
Draymond's
saying overall
offense,
game,
You're
the full, like the
you're
five
both
tools.
saying, so
the
you're
five
saying
tools.
5 tools are pretty good, but you're saying that his 90 shooting outranks his 50, 50,
And
50,
I'm
50,
not,
50.
no way am I disagreeing. I'm just
Right.
saying, when we talk about the 5 tools,
Right.
if we broke into a baseball string, you're a 5-tool
I
player.
don't think he's as good of a passer as people think. But
Yeah,
Draymond is a good passer.
am I
He
the
is-
only person also who's not? I'm just not a Klay Thompson guy.
I like
I don't
Klay.
get it.
But that's
I
just
like
because
Klay.
he's always deferred. Like if he was on a different team, he
Yeah.
would be the best player on most teams.
If he was in Brooklyn, he'd
maybe.
be better. Like if he was in Brooklyn instead of D'Angelo Russell, I
he's
truly
better than
think
D'Angelo
it's-
Russell.
I
Yeah,
want
oh,
to
yeah.
see this offseason. My dream scenario is Klay Thompson goes to the Bucks. That would open up so
That'd be
much.
pretty cool.
That would open up if Giannis is like
A
within
consistent
15
shooter
feet.
on Milwaukee.
Yeah, because they
would be
don't have a
great.
reliable too.
Right, but then
Guy.
when you sag all 3 defenders off Eric Bledsoe, you
Yeah.
can't do that if you have
And that
like
wouldn't be ring chasing because he's
already
not.
has a ring.
That's a bad example. I was going to say it wouldn't be ring chasing because he's not like a top. I don't think he's a top 10 player in the league, Klay Thompson. I could be. I mean,
No,
I just don't.
I wouldn't
Damn
say
good
top
two-way,
10.
man.
I wouldn't say top 10, but that's
I know I'm in the minority here. I don't.
You
I've
can
never
play-
got the whole. I've never drank that
But
Klay Kool-Aid,
saying
man.
somebody's not top 10 is not like a knock. There's
No,
so
it's
many good
not.
players
Yeah.
in the league
Right.
now.
But,
Like,
yeah.
there's top 10 players who aren't even in the playoffs if you want to consider LeBron,
I think a
LeBron
lot of-
and Anthony Davis.
I think a lot of people would put Klay in their top 5.
Oh no.
I
No,
think
in the
people
whole
would.
league?
I think people would.
Top
He's not
10's
even a
arguable.
shooting
Like
People
no,
lose
I,
their shit. I'm not saying they're right.
I'm
Because like I
with you
said,
on
I
the
didn't think he's top 10.
because top 10 is arguable because there are a lot of good players still in the league. So
there's like 4 of them in this series.
As horrible
Jimmy
of a person.
Butler.
No, he's not top 10.
No, he's not top 10. But when you talk about him and Klay, like Jimmy Butler's very good. And defensively, I personally like him more
Jimmy
than Klay.
Butler's
just 'cause
better than
Jimmy
Klay
Butler
Thompson.
plays with that intensity.
He's better than Klay Thompson.
Yeah, I
You know
think
who I
he
think is
is.
better than Klay Thompson, and he's a shitty human, but DeMarcus Cousins.
Listen, man, I don't care about how they are off. If I'm a fan, I get it. I don't know. It doesn't mean I'm going to support them. Like, if you want to build a team off morals, Tim Tebow's still in the NFL. But I would rather take Ray Lewis.
no,
over-
no, no.
So
Tim Tebow
you're,
fan.
so
No,
no,
I'm
I'm
not
not
a
going to
Tebow
get
fan.
into
I'm
that.
not
I'm
a
not falling
Tebow
for
fan.
that bait. But it's okay.
Not
So
a
you're,
Tebow guy.
so
Oh, he
if,
did win a playoff game. I don't know if you guys heard.
so if a rapist wins you games,
Whoa.
you're okay with that?
Took a
Yeah, I
dark
would take
turn.
Lawrence
Dark
Taylor.
turn.
I would take Lawrence Taylor over damn near every single defensive player right now. And he has his issues with underage people.
What's that got to do with this?
He said a rapist.
He said a rapist. Yeah, I was going to say Ben Roethlisberger, but it's not quite that.
I'd
bad.
take Big Ben over Dak. Hell, I'd take
That's
a lot
a
of
good
people over
one.
Dak.
That's honestly that's a good one for like next season.
No, I'm taking Dak.
over
really?
Big Ben?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
It's not
I'm
even-
okay.
Did you
I'm
not
out
watch
of
the
this
Rams
conversation.
game? Like, we lost the Rams game, not because they ran all over us, because Dak couldn't even throw a slant route at one point. Like, it was at the
Well-
point where he's throwing behind Cole Beasley. And Cole
Our
Beasley's not even
defensive
fast enough to throw
line,
behind.
our defensive line looked like us right here. I think it's that whole run game.
And
thing.
our play calling looked like us, too, for the past 4 years.
Well, you have a coach that is only the coach because he does everything Jerry
Dude,
Jones
because,
says.
yeah, oh my God, Jason Garrett. You know,
Don't fall into
I hope
that
his
nonsense.
grandkids
You
get
don't
bullied
like-
until he gets
you
fired,
don't- you don't
honestly,
like
man.
Garrett?
I hate Jason.
What's wrong
What
with
does he do
Garrett?
that's
What's
good?
wrong with Garrett?
It's like that whole Romo thing. It's just like
Whoa.
you've heard everybody. You've heard the ESPN regurgitating shit come out of their mouths. You're like, well, yeah, I guess Jason Garrett is a good. When's the last time they won? Is Jason Garrett out there making trades? Is he doing anything? I
Stephen
don't mind him.
Jones,
I'm not
Stephen
saying
Jones
he's
has taken over
great.
drafting, and Stephen Jones has been
Right, and that's
arguably
the-
one of the best guys drafting outside of New
Absolutely,
England.
he's the one who ripped Johnny Manziel's card out of his dad's
Yes,
hand
to get
halfway
Zach
in
Martin.
the hallway. Right. So that's fine with me. But I'm just
Nobody's here.
saying.
You're gonna have to pour it yourself, Stretch.
Yeah, I know, right?
We're
Just say that on the air.
I mean, well,
Anyway.
He's got a hell of a crowd right now.
there's a hell of a crowd out there. No, there's no bartenders here, and we're literally the only people here right now.
They're here.
It's-
They're here.
Here-
They're doing fine.
It's,
My-
it's
my
the
big-
day after a holiday. If you work in a restaurant, the day after a holiday.
My
is
big
always
thing with
there.
Jason Garrett is he was bailed out by Tony for probably his first 5 years. Because Tony made a lot of bad players look good. Whether it was Laurent Robinson getting a contract, whether it was Sam Hurd getting a contract, whether it was Miles Austin getting a contract. I mean, he made a lot of receivers that were not good look good. And everyone's going to hate the take on it. Look at the thing that kills Tony is his first 10 years, his numbers are statistically, because we're going in the statistic era, he looks good statistically. Does he have the big wins? No, he doesn't. But, you know, neither does Phillip Rivers, and everyone loves him, too.
Well, Tony Romo statistically is better than Tom Brady in the fourth quarter.
He
Yeah,
says-
but we're also playing garbage time, too, at that point. I mean, Dallas is in a lot of garbage time situations.
When it comes down to it, Romo's interception rate is better than
Wait,
Tom
can I
Brady's.
get a,
That's not garbage time. That's
vodka and
interception.
Coke?
No,
I just don't like saying Tony and Tom, and I'm a
No, vodka,
diehard
Club
Cowboy
Soda,
fan,
double
but
R.
Personally, I thought we would have won in 2014 because I think DeMarco Murray would have ran all over him, but we're talking about years ago. But like in general, when you look at Jason, then you look at Linehan, I mean, you can just see that it's like, okay, we're just going to run with whoever because we think we're that good. Linehan was horrendous play call.
You know my problem?
Yeah.
My problem.
We run no rollouts, no read options.
My problem with the Cowboys is they're talked about way too much for how good they actually are. I mean, I know they were in the playoffs.
But what do you call the Lakers this year?
Well, it's just how sports media is.
The Yankees, I mean, it sounds like they just came out of nowhere. Like we kind of earned it.
Who, the Cowboys?
Look, when the Lions win 3 Super Bowls in a decade, then I'm not a knock. I'm just saying anybody.
Yes, you are.
Look, I'm just
You
okay.
absolutely are trying to knock me.
When the Jaguars win 3 in a row, when any team wins 3 out of 4 years, we talk about the Steelers all the time. We talk about the stupid ass Patriots, and we talk about the Cowboys. It's they're relevant in the past. I mean,
The Steelers always in conversation.
Always in, yeah. I mean,
And I don't think Tomlin's ever beat Brady in a playoff game ever. I don't think it's like Phillips never beaten Brady ever in his lifetime. I'm not even talking about playoffs, I'm talking about regular season. There are a lot of teams that get a lot of talk, but at the end of the day, you have to talk about things. What are we going to talk about? I mean, you have to talk about the big sports teams. We're not going to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. No one wants to hear about them. Nobody wants to hear about I'm trying to think of it. The Oakland Raiders, I guess you'll want to talk about because you love making fun of the stupid stuff they do.
Well, they just signed Richie Incognito. Just
I'm all
go off
for
of
it.
that point.
They needed a guard. They needed some offensive line help. Personally, outside of some of their, I didn't like the Celine Farrell draft pick. I thought they should have gone with Ed Oliver personally, or at least Josh Allen, one of those two.
okay.
Just a small aside, looking at the comments, Tate and Brian have been arguing since I said Klay Thompson not the best shooting guard in the NBA. I changed my mind, he is. So you win that one. Just to acknowledge the comments. I've been looking it up, and he is. I'm more looking at guards in general, shooting guards.
There's my guy right there, Jimmy.
Jimmy Butler is not a guy who I would want to be my guy. I mean, he's really good defensively, but offensively, I think
He
he's
would be a
limited.
great second guy on a team. Not the guy on the team. Like if you played in LA with
It depends who the first guy
Lakers.
is.
Well,
if
you
he's
played
on
with
the
LeBron,
Lakers, they're a 4 seed. LeBron and Jimmy, forget about it. It's over.
we said that, but we also said that they would for sure make the playoffs because they got LeBron, and that didn't
Well,
work.
LeBron only played 50. Guys, there's 82 games in the
I think
season.
there's 82
50
games.
is not a lot.
But even when he
That's
came
barely over
back,
half.
when he came back,
had
they were within the 8th seed.
They had LeBron for 50 games, which is 50 more than they had last year. They had a worse record than they had last year.
Yeah,
Whoever you replaced LeBron with, you have LeBron now. And if he plays 50 games, it should mean more than the other guy playing 82 games.
I'm willing to bet, I would believe anybody who's ever watched 1 second of a Laker game last year would agree with me that if LeBron starts 82 games, they're going to have a better record than last year.
Well, I mean, I would hope.
It sucks to sound that I'm like hiding behind this injury, but that's the fact of the matter is that he didn't play the whole time.
But when he can't,
How many games
We
does he
can't
have to
say,
play?
not like he
we
came
can't
back
say that
with
they're
only
worse
two-
with him on the team. That's like saying that he's worse. Yeah, that's been there for a minute. Robert Lawyer loves you. What did he say? That's been up there for a minute.
He said Jimmy Butler loves modern country music. Can't be trusted. If you consider Old Town Road a country song, then I'm with Jimmy Butler.
Jesus Christ.
That's going to be after Brett leaves the intro to the podcast.
There we go.
We're trying to secure the rights right now.
Yeah, thank God. Stretch's been on the phone nonstop.
Not to go into music on a sports podcast, but it was so funny. I have a title. I think I'm the only one for the music streaming service, and it shows you new albums. Billy Ray Cyrus just put out a new album, so I think he jumped on that song to try to promote his new album.
Okay.
I clicked on the album just to see if that would be on his album. It was not.
No, that was the best thing for him as of lately because his daughter was killing his career alone, and he wasn't even having really much of a scene.
He's a one-hit wonder.
Hey, you know what? Good for him. He's a 2-hit wonder now.
There you go.
Because I'm not gonna lie, that may be verse of the year 2019 was
This
his
is the
verse of Old
most
Country
music
Road.
I've talked in probably a month.
Yeah.
This one sentence I just said. I don't give a shit about it.
So, do you watch college basketball at all?
I do. I'm a Syracuse fan. I can't wait till Boeheim gets fired. Cannot wait.
I don't know.
I might buy people shots at Social House.
Why would you say that?
Well, he runs this. Here's the thing.
I thought you were going to say he runs people over. That would have been
No,
too soon.
that was that one too. But
Right.
He's a top 5 all-time coach.
here's the thing.
which
I'm
doesn't
tired of the
matter
all-time
right now.
bullshit because we're talking about now. I don't care about what you
which
did in
doesn't matter
2011
now.
with Carmelo Anthony.
If you're not winning, then you got to
His
leave.
big thing is this. He recruits. We have recruiting violations for guys who can't pass class, and they also aren't good on the court. So we have stupid guys that aren't that good at basketball.
Okay.
And we're risking our scholarships for that. It's like,
Right.
get rid of them. Just
The only reason I said that is
move
because
them out.
he thought that your guy who's now the head coach of the Cavs was a top 5 coach. And I was
John
like,
Beilein.
Oh, okay.
Top 5 in college basketball.
And that guy was like, "Do you mean Boeheim?" He's like, "No."
Is
I'm like,
why
what are you
I
talking
got
about?
onto this topic. If it was that transparent, I want to talk about Juwan Howard.
Oh, God.
1/5,
Oh, yeah.
1/5 of the Fab Five. Kind of outweighing in the news right now. Rob Pelinka is kind of not that anybody really associated him with the Fab Five. But I mean, I'll just say my piece on it. We're on this podcast. I want to talk about Michigan just for at least a second.
Yeah.
I need a beer.
Juwan Howard, I like the hiring more and more the more I thought about it. I don't think that it's going to necessarily help in recruiting as far as like these kids remembering who he was back then. But as far as like coaching, I mean, if you're on the Heat organization and you're learning from also a top 5 coach in their sport in Spoelstra, I think it's not that much of a loss. I mean, when they were talking about Ed Cooley, I was like, I do not want Ed Cooley. But once Juwan Howard got hired, I'm like, okay, I'll take that. And I'm not expecting too much input from either one of you guys as far as
how much experience had? I'm asking truly. How much experience has he had coaching?
He wore a suit for 3 years in Miami.
Pretty much an assistant coach for Miami.
So I'm really there's
he
no
wasn't Miami for a bit.
ulterior motive.
I
Like
just-
so he's been an assistant coach for a little bit.
He was on the Heat for all those years when they were winning the championships, technically as like 16th man, and then
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
like how.
It's different than college though, right? I mean.
Well, no, just I'm saying getting coaching experience in general. Like,
Right.
You're not hiring Patrick Ewing, who he was on NBA staffs, but if you're,
Yeah, he was on staff for a long time. He was on the NBA staff.
you're learning under Eric Spoelstra, who's learning under Pat Riley. I mean,
Right.
As much as you can get excited about
Right.
a hypothetical situation of what's going to happen, I'll take it, and it's kind of like keeping with the tradition.
Where I was going was the Penny Hardaway hire for Memphis, and they had one of
It's
the top.
worked. It's
They want to
worked.
have
They
the
have the
top
best-
recruits, and how many games
Yeah,
has he coached before that?
The last time
Sanctions
Memphis-
coming.
Fucking 100%.
Last time Memphis had a top recruit, they had to check his ACT score again. So.
This is going to be a
That would have
one
been
of
during
those.
the Calipari years, right?
It's,
like Derrick Rose, yeah.
it's going to be a fucking Calipari, like hold my beer type of thing.
San-
It's gonna be, look at all these
I-
sanctions I got.
listen.
Hang on, I got you covered, buddy.
Sanctions, put it on the whatever right now.
record.
On the record. Sanctions are coming for Memphis.
And the
Damn.
rebuttals are non-existent. Okay, cool. So there we go. Good
Who's
stuff.
going? That was when Calipari was there. You could say the same thing. Who's going to Memphis and why?
Yeah.
It's not like it would be less surprising
Yeah.
if UNLV got some kind of a
'Cause
crazy
they're-
recruiting
I mean,
class
they're not
like
a-
from their history.
They're American Athletic Conference. It's not like they have that major conference pool where they
Right,
just pull someone
right.
in.
Are they the same conference as UCF?
UCF, yes, they are.
Oh man, that sucks for UCF, huh?
I mean, UCF's not a basketball school. They're turning into strictly a football school.
I mean, this past year was pretty good for them.
They did do well.
Listen, I get it. They did well, but let's be very realistic, okay? Let's be
No- no
very,
one's gonna
very, very
disagree.
They
realistic.
had a chance
Like,
to beat Duke. I mean, that's going to help.
They had a chance. Did they?
Yes, they should have won.
I don't want to hear the shoulda. You know how many shoulda ones have happened? In, like
When you're going against the refs and you're UCF, you're going to lose to Duke.
they
against
missed
the
a
refs,
tip-in
mother
twice. That
of
was right
God.
there.
But there was like 3 calls at the end of that game.
Okay, and some of
Don't
those
put it
calls
in the
and
refs'
they missed-
hands.
Listen, Duke
You're
missed
UCF. You can't
Duke
just win on
missed
talent
3
alone.
free throws in the last minute. They missed 3 free throws. Duke was doing everything they could to lose that game, and UCF. And I don't think UCF's going to repeat that. And as I'm wearing a shirt, I don't think they're going to repeat what they did last year. I just don't.
No, I
do
mean
think-
that would be very successful if they did that
it
2
would.
years in a row.
But it's their, because when you really look at their team, it's their football that's really, really pushing forward. And because I don't think their baseball even made the tournament this
well,
year.
it's going to be the same thing to me as far as to get into UCF talk. The UCF football started succeeding because Florida is such a fertile recruiting ground that you have guys that don't go to UM, FSU, or Florida. Even the guys that don't go there are good enough when they go to UCF to actually make a difference. There's so much talent in Florida that
Yeah.
if you're UCF and you're a kid that wants to stay in Florida by his family, you're going to have enough talent that comes to UCF. So, I mean, it could be the same for basketball. I mean, there's not that many kids coming out every year that make that much of a difference. But if you get 1 or 2 of those guys, it's going to – and then the national recognition of playing against Duke and taking it out to the wire, some kid could change his mind. I mean –
But I will say UCF, what they did with football-wise, when they lost Scott Frost, they replaced it with obviously the best offensive mind in college football in Josh Heupel. When Josh Heupel was at Oklahoma, he beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. He went to Mizzou and he made them the number 1 offense 2 years in a row.
Physical feats, like on the field, don't really shouldn't really transfer over to like. Well, you know this guy did really well as a player, so he can definitely coach.
No, I'm talking about as a coach. Like, no, Heupel was the coach. He was the offensive coordinator when they beat
I
Alabama.
thought you were talking. Sorry.
Oh, no. He won a national championship. He lost a national championship as a player.
What do you think about Brett and I have a bet going on? What was it, 25 or 50 bucks? That Taco will be drafted in the NBA draft.
Oh, he's gonna get drafted. He's like 7'4", 7'6".
Was it 25 or 50? I don't remember.
I don't know. Let's make it 50.
He'll get drafted, but I mean,
Who wants that guy? There's 2 rounds. There's not 25.
it's
There's
length.
2
It's
rounds.
size and length.
The
That's all
only-
we
Who
care
would
about.
fucking draft that guy? He couldn't start for UCF.
If
He
he's
couldn't start.
If he's in the 2nd round and Brooklyn has a pick, we better pick him.
The only thing that I'll say, the more people that declare for the
Waste of a
draft,
pick.
Well, most second-round picks don't pan out.
It's NBA. How many guys build a team off a draft?
The more kids,
Golden State, that's it.
The more kids that declare for the draft, it kind of like makes me nervous that he's going to get pushed out. But he'll be on a team next year, at least in the G League.
I'm not saying
you're
that
not going to be 7-4
might
not be on a team.
There might be some owners out there who'll be tripping on acid during their thing, and then maybe pick this guy up because they're looking at the sheet.
So Bull is going to project it to be like a top 10 pick. He's better athletically, but he also has much more injury history than Taco has.
And also, but Bull's got a father that was heavy in the league.
If you're drafting based on dads, that's not very smart.
It's a thing, though.
I mean, sure, but
he's got the pedigree.
Ask Steph.
Yeah, but Steph is actually good. Though.
Ask Seth. That's a better one.
He was decent this year in the playoffs.
He's a backup.
Yeah, that's fine. You don't always. Not everyone.
He went to Duke. He was prominent. Like his brother went to Davidson.
He wasn't like projected to. There's always guys like he wasn't projected to be like one of his like top 10 picks or anything like that.
I mean, you just don't. I mean, that's one. Okay, one thing I've always said about Golden State, and I said this the other day, you cannot call them a super team up until this year. Because for years they did great in the draft. When they won 73 games, Harrison Barnes and Festus Ezeli was on the team.
Yeah, but Harrison Barnes was like good at that point. He was like a sought-after free agent.
But where's he at now? He's in Dallas, kind of doing whatever. Yeah, Festus hasn't even played a game since then.
But he played well when he was with the Warriors.
But he's not the reason why they won 73 games. My whole point is they drafted him.
Well, super team nowadays is like something that everybody considers like any one good player going to play with another good player. It's like, all right, you care about 90s basketball, go back and watch those finals on YouTube then.
My point is, if you draft a Clay, if you draft a Draymond, you draft a Curry, you sign a Livingston when he's out of the league, pretty much out of the league. When you sign Iguodala when he's coming his way out of the league, and they play the way they are, then you get a Quinn Cook through the G League. You Looney through the G League. They build that team builds really well,
but then
and they don't get the respect
I don't think every team's not aiming to do that. Everybody's like, well, why don't we just do what the Warriors do?
But the Warriors drafted amazing, though, is my whole point. Like, you don't build
a course of the draft. You don't think every team wants to do that?
But I'm not saying every team wants to.
Super team, his definition of super team is not a team. Your definition of super
it's
team
like Miami,
is when people came to play together.
Yes, when you sign one player, Kevin Durant, you're not immediately because you signed one player. It's not their fault Curry was great. It's not their fault Clay was great. It's not their fault Draymond was great. They drafted him.
If Kawhi this offseason goes to the Clippers, is that a super team?
If someone else went with them, then yeah, I would say yeah. Like if Jimmy Butler went with Kawhi.
They don't have any like super prominent.
Yeah. If it was just one, because one player can't make a team.
I think that would be the coolest thing if the Raptors win a championship and Kawhi's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the Clippers anyways. Like you leave the Spurs, you go to the Toronto Raptors.
They have Jerry West over there.
You win a championship and then you leave and then you're like, I won a championship. See you guys, I'm out. He'd still be like the most popular player in Raptors history.
Wasn't saying much.
Do you guys
what? Vince Carter has got to be number one in box.
But they didn't win him any championship. I'm saying if he wins a championship.
That'll be close, man. It's gonna be tough to.
If he wins a championship, he's taking over everybody.
What do you think?
Especially wins Finals. If he wins the Finals MVP, he's the only one in Toronto history that can say that.
Yeah, and that would be a second one too. To bring it back to music, do you have any opinions on Drake on the sidelines for the Raptors? And also, not to mention, they're playing him in the finals, and I don't know if you know this, he has a Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant tattoo on his arm.
Why does he have another man's name tattooed on his arm?
No, their face.
Oh, okay.
Not even a.
How is that better?
Why?
That's
worse. You're not helping me with that.
No, I'm saying it's worse. I'm saying it's worse.
What is going on here?
I'd rather have their lips or something. At least you don't know it's their face. They wouldn't even tell it's them. I'm saying it's worse.
Listen, if I'm Golden State,
look forward to this and more. Going forward.
If I'm Steve Kerr, I'm going to hold a Pusha T and having him on my sideline the whole time then.
Well,
he needs to be my hype man.
What happened was the Bucks owner's daughter had a Pusha T t-shirt on, and then Drake favored it or liked her on Instagram and said, don't worry, I'll still get you tickets to OVO Fest.
You know what? There's a reason why God never let me be 6'8" and 250s. I just punched Drake in his face at that point.
I thought you were going to say you would dunk. I mean, that would be the first thing I do if I was 6'8".
I know. It's just
Let's be honest. If I was 6'8", I still couldn't
especially
dunk.
if I was a player who knew he wasn't going to play.
Damn you, pigmentation.
How tall would you guys have to be able to dunk?
Oh, dude, I have no idea. I'm like 5'5".
Back in the day when I was a little more athletic,
I'd say 6'5", because
I could dunk a softball, but I could never dunk a basketball. I could white guy dunk it, which is when you lay it up and grab the rim. That's a white guy dunk.
The tip in dunk.
We got that all day. But I could dunk a softball.
Ultimate duck shooting thing is tonight. To plug that real quick, what's going on with that?
So Miss DJ, I guess is what people call her, Danielle Judy, said, "Hi Rob, I don't know anything about sports, but you're about to catch these hands at Ultimate Duck Shooting tonight." So
tell her if the bar is not busy.
Tell her.
DJ, if the bar is not busy, I'm gonna fuck you
up.
What
was the point of putting UDS and then alluding to that in ultimate duck shooting. You could have just put that in the beginning. I mean,
You know,
Listen,
it's like saying LOL and then saying, by the way, I was laughing out loud. It's kind of a waste of time.
I know who's not getting served if you go there tonight.
Damn it! No, he's gonna be there. I'll be there.
But anyways, do we want to even touch on fucking NBA? We've been going for about 50 minutes now, going pretty fucking. We've been talking about NBA for fucking 45 minutes of that. Maybe even an hour. Yeah, I mean, whatever. MLB's doing MLB things. And NHL finals are going on right now.
Yeah,
The Stanley Cup finals.
I don't know if any of you guys watched the game last night. Bruins won 4-2.
Much to your dismay.
Yes, much to my dismay. Do you bet on sports at all?
I bet on sports. I don't bet on hockey because I'm not going to pretend I care about hockey. I'm a Rangers fan, so we're in a full fire sale.
You'll learn.
I was gonna say a few years ago, you guys. Playoffs look good.
Yes,
I'm a big degenerate. You'll learn that. I have NASCAR bets, all these different kind of bets.
Oh man, yeah.
So.
The most of NASCAR I've ever watched is maybe like if Danica Patrick can make it through half a race without the car being on fire.
It's like horse racing, but like without the hats and super white trash.
I don't believe I'm betting on animals. I just don't, man. I don't know why. It's just something like I just could not bet on an animal. I feel like you can't scout an animal the way you can scout like a player. Like, okay, how's this player play? Like, if the animal's gonna do what the hell the animal wants to do.
NASCAR, I can watch any sport. Like that, NASCAR is fine with me. There's a lot more that goes into it than people think. It's fucking difficult as shit. I can watch. I mean, I watch golf all the time anyway.
I've gotten more into golf.
But I mean, what is it? I think his actual name is Matt Barnes. I know his last name is Barnes. I think it's Matt Barnes, like the #1 bowler. I think on the pro bowling circuit.
That's the bowling segment.
Just saying. I mean. We are a sports show.
We would be remiss if we didn't mention Bill Buckner died, 69 years old.
R.I.P., bro.
Brett had a crazy stat. I don't know if it was an original stat or if he got it from somewhere, but 22 years, never struck out 3 times in one game.
Yeah, I actually got that shockingly from my dad.
Imagine in this era, man.
The only other person who knows more about sports than me that I've ever met, Brian Bond. Shout out to that guy. Yeah, never struck out more 3 or more times in one game, and the most strikeouts he ever had in one season was 39.
Jesus, man, really?
The way
he has more hits than Ted Williams.
The way the league is going
nuts.
now, I would be surprised if there was a player this year that had 3 strikeouts in one game.
There's a lot of those players who have 39. Hobby has 39 strikeouts this month.
Yeah, that's a thing now. Guys striking out 200 times is just a normal thing.
Well, my favorite baseball stat of all time is Joey Gallo, more home runs than singles.
Yeah, and he only has 1 sacrifice fly in his entire career.
And that was
a couple weeks ago.
Recently,
Weeks ago. He's like an absolute anomaly out there. It's
that's just
weird.
the Texas Rangers. I mean, they want to build a team just to hit.
No more Mazar. Actually, the only guy on their team who is a good hitter, I put in top 5, maybe top 3 hitters in baseball right now is Elvis Andrews. That guy.
Top 5?
You put Elvis Andrews as a top 5 hitter? Gene Segura is better than him.
Who?
Gene Segura's a better hitter than him.
No, not consistently over his career. No fucking way.
Segura's a very good hitter.
I'm not saying he's not.
Like the past 4 years, Segura's been damn good.
Elvis unbelievable. I guess you'd probably have to go Mike Trout, maybe #1. I don't know, that's close. Maybe overall player. I don't know, best straight hitter.
I have a really strong take on the #1 overall player when it comes to Mike Trout. I think it's Arenado by a landslide.
No, that's the sports argument thing. You can't say landslide.
It is, man. It is. Like Arenado's got 6 Gold Gloves in 6 years.
Okay,
he can hit 100 RBIs.
MVP,
he can get 40 home
first
runs.
or second, 7 out of 8 years.
If Trout stopped playing,
Mike Trout is coming first or second, 7 out of 8 years.
If he never played a game again, he'd be in the Hall of Fame. Mike Trout.
Yeah,
but Arenado is. You guys are really saying Arenado is the best defensive third baseman, and that's really.
He can't run. He doesn't steal them out of bases. Trout is a 5-tool player.
What does Trout steal?
25 a year.
Okay, so you're making it seem like he's out there stealing 50. He's not stealing 50.
That's a 5-tool player.
You're playing 162 games. You steal 25. How many bases is that a game?
I'm gonna look up Arenado's.
Look at Arenado's number. Arenado can hit.
I bet you that Mike Trout has a better career average than Arenado. The only thing Arenado is gonna have him on is home runs and RBIs because he plays in fucking Colorado.
Oh, stop, because there's a waste. No. He's hitting 291 on the road this year. He has more home runs on the road.
291 on the road.
Oh, 290. No, not a lot of guys are hitting 291 consistently, especially on the road. And he has more home runs on the road than he does at home.
You're never. It's not your fault necessarily. But no one is ever going to take a Colorado player seriously.
Because of Larry Walker.
Well, that's why he brought up the road thing, I think.
No, Larry Walker did it in fucking Montreal and in St. Louis. Larry Walker's a Hall of Famer. He's a great hitter.
I think the reason
Arenado's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Arenado's never done anywhere else.
Arenado's got 6 Gold Gloves.
He'll be a Hall of Famer, but I think when you say that Arenado's better than Trout and it's a landslide, like that's kind of crazy.
Well, because his defense is just overtakes it. Their Mookie Betts, JBJ are better center fielders than Mike Trout is. Mike Trout is a good center fielder. Don't get me wrong, he gets the ESPN highlights, says everyone's going to see this. I'm like, oh, on ESPN, blah, blah. I don't give a shit what ESPN has to say about this guy because they stroke up certain players.
How did Mike Trout hurt you? What did he do to you?
He didn't hurt me. I'm just tired of the Mike Trout love. Like, he's not
Nolan
worth
Arenado has 14 career stolen bases.
He's a third baseman. He doesn't need to steal a lot of bases.
That's like, well, then what are we talking about? We're like best third baseman, or are we talking about player?
Well, overall player, he's still the best player. He can drive in 100 runs
close.
multiple times. Trout has maybe drove in 100 runs, maybe twice, maybe.
Nolan Arenado's career batting average is 294. That's unreal. That's really good.
I know that's
Mike
really
Trout's
good.
is 306.
Okay.
That's 20 points better.
No, and I understand that, but we're also looking at the main fact. Like I said, how many times can Trout really go out there and drive in runs like he's supposed to?
Trout has more home runs than Arenado. He's
But how many
probably playing
RBIs?
longer.
What are the RBIs going with right now?
Probably Arenado.
Arenado
no,
Trout's
got more RBIs.
How long is? I mean, come on.
Trout's got more RBIs. Trout has 195 stolen bases. Nolan Arenado has 14. Nolan Arenado has 14 more stolen bases than I do in his career. That's fucking terrible. Now look, Arenado is a very good third baseman. I hate when everybody talks about how awesome Josh Donaldson is. I think Josh Donaldson's very overrated. And as a Cubs fan, Chris Bryant is in the bottom 10% of defensive third baseman. That guy is awful. He hides his defense behind his bat, and he's going to continue for the rest of his career. I would honestly, hot take, I would trade Chris Bryant now. It has nothing to do with this injury right now.
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that
and
one.
he's a solid hitter. I don't think he's mentally very tough, and his defense is trash. So I would trade him right now.
It's not that I'm saying Trout is, because you're right, the landslide comment is a strong comment. My big thing when it comes to Trout is this. Is he worth $400 million? Not a living shot in hell. Not a living shot in hell. He's just not. Like, his WAR can be 55. There's still going to be 56 games out of the playoffs.
I hate WAR.
I think it's a stupid stat.
It's based on a fictitious player. It's based on a player who doesn't exist.
Well, it's based on the Ivy League guys getting involved in sports. He's like, well, let's
that's
analytically
okay.
break this down.
I mean, I do like certain stats, like easy ones like WHIP. I love WHIP. That's my favorite stat. But I don't think it's necessarily knocked. And when we get into the whole like LWPSX plus stuff, I'm like, all right, I don't know what the fuck is going on over there. And I'm sure there's stuff too. I'm not saying that it's awful, but I don't think it's relevant in my opinion. But
when I talk about this, Trout is number 2 in my mind. He is number 2 player in the league. So it's not like I have him completely out of the list. He's a number 2 player. Just when you look at Arenado, what he brings to the team all around, it's like third base is tougher to play than center field. It's just tougher. You have more opportunity for errors at third base than you do at center field, especially in this pull era that we play in, where guys can't hit opposite field for some reason.
That's a tough argument. You're not wrong. I think it's a tough argument to
And
make.
on top of that, there's not a third baseman besides maybe Matt Chapman coming up now will be the third baseman to challenge.
People love Matt Chapman.
Chapman
don't
can
they?
play, though.
They love this dude.
Defensive, even Arenado said defensively, he is better than me.
I mean, Manny Machado is pretty fucking good at third.
Manny Machado is good, don't get me wrong, but he's not Arenado. There's a reason why Arenado
Machado might have a better
hardware.
arm, which is not saying that he's a better defensive player. I think Machado has a better arm than Arenado.
He's got the hardware to prove, is all I'm saying. When you have 6 Gold Gloves in 6 years, and let's say he has 3.
That's not bad.
Let's say he has 3 more good years defensively. He has 9 Gold Gloves. Let's put that in perspective.
What's the highest? And
It's probably Schmidt. It's probably Schmidt over at third base. I'll guess.
Schmidt's one of 3 players. Fuck, what is it to have?
10 plus and 500 home runs or something.
Yeah, 10 Gold Gloves and 500 home runs. It's like Ken Griffey Jr., Willie Mays, and Mike Schmidt. That's right. I want to know that the highest Arenado's ever finished in the MVP. Which MVP is bullshit because all it is home runs and RBIs and your team wins, which is fucking stupid. Like that shouldn't be MVP. In 1987, Hawk Andre Dawson won the MVP for the last place Cubs. That's never going to happen ever again.
You know what? Andre Dawson was a FAMU guy. I went to school at FAMU. I love Andre Dawson.
Nice.
So
there you go.
Love Andre Dawson.
But the thing about that, last place won the MVP.
Play baseball there, actually. Yeah.
They're not hearing me, but that's what's happening. What's going on? Oh, did it die? Last place team had the MVP. That's how the MVP should go. The fact that Shaq doesn't have 15 is fucking retarded. And I'm a Steve Nash guy. I love Steve Nash. I love rubbing it in people's faces that he wants to, but do I think he deserved him? Probably not.
He deserved either or.
I love me some Steve Nash.
I thought
dude.
Shaq and Kobe both deserved MVPs. Shaq first year, then Kobe the next.
Yeah.
I mean, Kobe averaging 35 and making the playoffs, and it's if you average 35 and make the playoffs, and you look around that Kobe team when he had 35, he should have been the MVP.
A player that I can't fucking stand, Bryce Harper, said that Mike Trout was the best player. I'm so glad we didn't get him. All my Cubs fan friends are like, you wouldn't fucking take Bryce Harper. I'm like, first of all, we have nowhere to put him because we're already paying our right fielder a shit ton of money.
Good old the say hey kid.
Oh God, he's actually. I was such a hater on that guy, and last year he led the team in least amount of strikeouts per AB, which is awesome. And then this year he's really put in the work. I will eat my own words there. I will admit he's really come full circle.
Can I ask you a question?
You're going to?
As obviously I just did. As somebody who knows obviously the third most about baseball on this show. In today's game, why are stolen bases looked at? I can understand back in the day, but why is it such a big thing now when half of the stolen bases now, I'd be willing to bet, are first to second on something where it's not even contested.
Right. I think the Cubs have stolen base leader last year. I think it was Javi with like 22, and then after that was like 13.
So what?
Nobody steals bases because it's such a power. It's a Joey Gallo thing. You don't need to get to second if you're going to hit it out.
I agree with the Mike Trout thing that he's better, but why are you using that stolen bases as a thing against?
Because it's the five tool that Arenado doesn't have.
But
fifth tool he doesn't have.
But it's not as important when you steal second base that's uncontested and then the person behind.
No, that's not a stolen base. That's a catcher's indifference.
Oh, I didn't know that you.
I will say this: the reason why, and I understand where you're touching on, is because you'll never see
the guy behind you pops out.
You'll never see a Ricky Henderson stolen base year.
Never.
You'll never see a Ricky Henderson.
Talk about that Cal Ripken thing. I think someone will break the Cal Ripken one before the Ricky Henderson.
Yeah,
because is that insane to say?
No, it's not.
It's stupid how many bases he stole.
Because the risk of the out is not worth having the guy behind you hitting a home run or hitting.
Right. It's that old school ball, like that fucking National League stuff, which I love. National League, you got to get a guy on, bunt him over, get him in scoring position.
It's a different game.
It's more IQ baseball.
It's literally than 10 years ago. It's a different game.
And the one thing I'll say about being a different game is you can look at the NFL and say, okay, if they progressed a lot. You can look at basketball, they progressed a lot. Baseball offensively has not progressed a lot. Bryce Harper.
They're in the midst of it now.
I don't even know about that because Bryce Harper just made $300 million. He's only driven in 100 runs one time in his career.
Well, so we have all these things like you said, like how I didn't know about the catcher's indifference. Ooh. There should be a stat in basketball where it's like the other team's indifference of getting a rebound.
Oh yeah,
why does and I love Russell Westbrook, but why do you get credit for a rebound?
Uncontested rebounds.
Nobody else was going.
No, because there's only one person who can throw you out on the entire diamond. There's fucking 9 other people who can get that rebound.
Right, but it's
not.
So
if it's just one person, then it's up to their judgment and their judgment alone whether you get that stolen base or not.
It's not.
It's if you and I, if all 3 of us go for a rebound, it's not just his. Like if he doesn't go up and you go up, well, he didn't jump, so it's an indifference.
There are indifference rebounds where it's like we value getting back on defense more than taking a chance for an offensive rebound. There are teams who put more value in getting back on defense, and there are teams who don't value their catcher trying to throw you out at second.
Well, and I also think it has to do with that baseball doesn't try to expose like speed as much as they should at times. So if you look at Jacoby Ellsbury as a pure athlete, his spark rating was
your most hated Yankee.
Yeah, absolutely the most Yankee hated. I hate that guy, but his spark rating as a Nike Spark, which goes over all athletes, but he's Oregon State. He had one of the highest spark ratings of all professional athletes.
Really?
And you don't see a lot of guys, and he's one of the few guys to go out there and steal 50. No one's stealing 50 anymore. Maybe Billy Hamilton.
No, and maybe Trey Turner.
Yeah.
Which I hate, but.
But when you look at it, it's like when you look at these guys offensively, it's like Albert Pujols, A-Rod, and Miguel Cabrera are better their first 10 years than any player playing right now. Like Albert Pujols is 10 times the player Trout was his first 6 years.
I don't know about 10 times, but
offensively,
oh man. Well,
he's hitting 330.
I hate saying this, but he had a better team around him.
He may have had but I get that. But how many? Just because
he was playing with Berkman and I think Larry Walker. Larry Walker was on the team. Actually, they had the best 1-2-3 ever because they had Tony Womack who would get on first, and then they had Larry Walker batting second, who's a lefty, so he would hit it to right. So when he did that, Womack would already be at third because he's so fast. And now you got first and third for fucking Pujols.
But let's not act like the Angels have not tried to spend money to put players around.
No, I agree with you. I'm a huge Justin Upton guy. Just didn't really pan out the way they thought he was going to when he was in Arizona. They thought it was going to be that 35, 100 every year.
So going back to the stolen base thing and how I think it's kind of overvalued as far as you're saying in the argument, what do you think is like the most valuable out of the 5? Obviously the 5 tools, if you want to go with
average.
So if you're going to go average,
On base percentage, man.
Well, that's not the 5.
Yeah, it's not the 5, but like we're going with the.
On base percentage, I'll buy you all day. That's why I'm a Kyle Schwarber fan. Everybody hates on Schwarber. He's been our leadoff hitter for the past 2 weeks. The guy, his average is 215. What I always look at, and I love telling my girlfriend when we're watching the games, I always say, look at the difference between the average and the on base percentage. If it's 95 or above, that's a good plate appearance. His on base percentage over, I think it's like 120 or something like that. But Schwarber also is top 4 in the league in pitches per at bat. He's a solid bat. I know nobody said anything about Schwarber, but I want to get that out there because everybody gives me shit about Schwarber like they do.
There should be a stat, and I was just thinking about it. Well, I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying, so I was thinking about this.
It happens a lot. Happens a lot.
Now that there's 3 people, I have to pay attention even less. But I was thinking, you know what would be a good stat? It was like pitches per at bat, and I was like, no, that's not a good stat because what if you hit a home run on the first one? That penalizes you. What if it was like pitches per out or pitches per strikeout? Because there are such things. We were watching that game last night. We were with the Braves Cardinals games on Sunday night that nobody else except for us 3 were watching.
God, fucking nonsense.
It was funny. I was on one side, Brett was on the other. We were both chasing at the end of the betting week. And there was a guy who had some like 15 pitch at bat, and he wound up getting out. And I was like, you know what? That's good. At least he got the pitch count up. So like if you want to do baseball, all these crazy stats, either pitches per out or pitches per.
Possibly. I'm sure there's stats for that.
I'm sure it's there, but I thought of it on my own.
The thing drives me nuts, though. I think it's a little bit overrated because everybody. First of all, the 100 thing, nobody knows where that came from. There is no statistical evidence that any one player.
It's a round number.
It's a round number. No statistical evidence says that at 100, some pitchers may be like 88, like Kyle Hendricks, but he probably doesn't need to go to 100. Some pitchers like Zach Greinke can go to 130. Scherzer goes to fucking 140 all the time. Bob Gibson threw over 200 pitches in a game one time.
But the 7-8-9 is such a big thing now with relief. Like relief pitching is bigger now than it's ever been. I mean, you look at when Kansas City went to the World Series and won the World Series. 2015. It was their 7-8-9 that really led them into great bullpen. I mean,
right. Wade Davis and not Ventura. He was one of the stars. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But it's like you look at. I mean, bullpen's such a big thing now to have because that's what really cost. That's what cost Houston a series against Boston last year. They had no bullpen coming in whatsoever. They had the starting rotation, but New York, when they got through that starting rotation, Boston, they did the one thing I didn't want to see.
No one cares, Stretch.
Oh man, trust me, it's gonna be a
Stretch
good year.
Stretch is flaunting his
I'm
Red
not
Sox.
worried. I'm not concerned.
I thought he was rubbing his nipples. I don't know.
I'm not concerned.
Yeah, might as well. It's the same thing.
Oh God, he's pinching.
Good God.
I'm not concerned.
Why'd you give him that idea? This guy talks about
my
toes
nipples,
and rubbing nipples and shit.
Don't squeeze them.
Nonsense.
Show's evolving, baby.
Nipple pinching.
Christ almighty.
So you're picking the Warriors. I got the Raptors.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this has been a pretty good, send off. I like that. Yeah, and I mean, if they're all right with that, I'll still try to guest appear every once in a while. Things are getting nutty at work, man. I start staying till like fucking 7.
This is what we in the biz call crunch time.
Fucking ridiculous. So, yeah, fucking nonsense. But anyways, well, yeah, I guess just because we're at about an hour and a half now. Well, hopefully this gives you guys something to look forward to. Clearly, Rob's not a fucking moron, so that's good.
I'm still the moron.
Well, I mean, whoever had the over.
Good. Stuart and Tate, feel free to bring your following after Brett leaves. Don't completely abandon us. I'll throw in a Cubs take every once in a while.
Well, what you're gonna need now, this can have my full attention on here. So if you want to see the Bond Boys just start fucking going at it, this will be the show behind the show. Is us 3 fucking screaming at people.
Too, or are you still
if I have time, I'll try to. Yeah, I mean, because if I'm not here, I might as well try to do. I thought about that too. I was like, if I comment on there, they're gonna be like, well, fuck, this guy could have fucking done it.
He'll comment when he hears my take on the National League.
I wanted to get to that. I was like, we're gonna have another 45 minutes. I love the National League.
See that he'll get to it. He'll start commenting then.
What?
When we start talking about the National League and the World Series contenders, we'll get into a conversation.
It's actually a family thing too. Like both my brothers are hardcore Indians fans. Most of my family is. So we are. LeBron and the DH is the top 2 fucking things we just get heated about, man. It's a fucking, well, yeah, we're not going to get into it. We'll do it later. We'll do it later. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much, as always. We're a show of the people.
It doesn't bypass my attention. You've given up 15 minutes of the Cubs game to be with us on your, I don't know if you
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now, actually. It's fucking, I can't believe, it's the most I've missed of
It must
the
be a
whole
local
season.
broadcast. I'll actually give it a shout out to his fiance too. Last week I was asking, can you name this or that? She literally named the entire starting lineup and pitchers and DH and backup
she knows
and
her
all
shit.
this shit. Yeah, I was like, wow.
And she's not a loud person, like, because a lot of girls, I think, and it's not their fault, it's a lot of fucking idiot guys' faults in bars who are, when a girl is wearing something, like a sports thing, they just immediately interrogate her, like, well, who's your fucking, which you were not doing.
No,
but
that's
they
me.
they were like,
Yeah,
well,
no,
who's
that
your
was me.
fucking there? Or like, they don't have to,
No.
they're wearing their shit, they don't have to do it, but
If
she
I
is not an altercation, that's not the word, altercation type of person.
Confrontational.
But confrontational, thank
It's
you.
okay,
I'm
buddy.
from Alabama, dude. It's a fucking.
That's why we're putting him out the pasture after this.
Just send me off into the distance. But yeah, I was very proud of her. So it's good.
Yeah,
I
no.
appreciate it.
That's
She'll love
one
that.
thing I do that maybe I guess I should stop doing is if I see you out and you're a girl wearing like a Tom Brady jersey, I'm like, who's the offensive lineman? Name one. I'll give you $20.
Oh, man.
That might be a douchey thing to do.
It probably is. but
I wouldn't
they're
just go
gonna-
up to a random girl, but if she's, well, all right, just a quick story. I'm watching Michigan getting their shit pushed in by Florida in the
Man.
the bowl game.
Man.
in the bowl game.
That was a good day.
And there's these two girls cheering really loudly behind me at Schmaus, another bar around the area. And they're just like cheering the shit on every touchdown. I'm like, just stop kicking me, I'm down. Stop kicking my head, I'm down. And they're just cheering, and I'm like, name one offensive lineman. My girlfriend's like, I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah, bye.
And I was like, I don't blame you.
Oh, well, that's a good way to end it, I suppose. But yeah, thank you guys seriously as always. You guys are the ones that make this show. We're a show of the people. I'm sure we'll continue to be. The comments are what makes this engine run. We do always appreciate it. Thank you guys a lot. Yeah, hopefully we continue that. I'll join you guys hopefully in the weeks following. Yeah, it's been fun. I'm sure I'll see you guys here shortly. On behalf of the Traveling Drunks, Public House, and Shamrock Liquors.
It's been a pleasure, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
We'll be back,
and
I'm
hey,
sure.
Oh, man, thank you,
I'm
man.
happy for you to take my place. It's awesome. Yeah, on behalf of Bredigans,
Come
Marty,
out for duck racing tonight.
Rob.
Or duck
Social
hunting,
House is
whatever
great
it is.
bartending. It's Duck Countries, but Stretch calls
Duck
it.
Countries.
So we're out there now. Got a great game coming out. You guys
Duck
gotta enjoy it.
Dynasty.
Anyways, thanks again, guys. Have a good week. See you
That's
later.
why you're not in Bundesliga.
I was waiting on it. I was like, I hope he says it because I totally forgot what the fuck it was.